Hi guys, I am Zach, and welcome back to the Zach Films Things channel. Today, I wanted to look at some airport horror stories, or just travel horror stories in general. And you might be asking, Zach, what are the qualifications to travel stuff? I have been to 40 plus US states, and I've currently been to 3 countries. Well, 4, technically. I wanted to get a lay of the land on Reddit because I love Reddit for like Too Hot Takes and like the Smosh like reaction videos. So I wanted to give it a shot in kind of my niche. So yeah, let's jump in. This one's from Iridescent Shimmer. It says, on a flight from Orlando to Houston, there were heavy storms and the pilot came over the system and said, I have some bad news. My heart dropped into my stomach. Apparently though, a plane in Houston had been struck by lightning and planes had been grounded for a few hours. His bad news was that we had to stop in Austin to refuel because we didn't have enough to circle overhead. I thought we were going to die for a second. My connecting flight was canceled, so I joined the queue to get rebooked. Joked with the agent who clearly had a horrible night. She booked me in first class to my final destination on the next flight and said, don't tell anyone. I got to the gate and there was a guy absolutely losing it on the gate agents, demanding a spot on that flight. I would have given it to him, but honestly I was afraid of him getting violent and or subjecting the flight attendants to him. Instead, I stayed quiet like she told me and enjoyed a glass of champagne in the air. That's really nice. Alright, these airport ones are kind of boring, so I'm going to move over to the thread that is travel horror stories. This first one is from a person called Barbados Slim. I was leaving from Pécs, Hungary to Zurich, catching a flight there and back to Boston via JFK in New York City. I got to Zurich and I needed to take a 5-hour bus ride to Budapest and then take the subway a few stops until I reached the main rail station. I was tired, hungry, thirsty, and really had to poop by the time I got to Budapest. I decided to carry on and hold it until I got to the main railway station. I didn't end up pooping my pants. Sorry to let you down. I made it there just in the nick of time. Something about holding it in for that long really exhausted me, and I just wanted to get on the train and sleep. After waiting for 2 hours, my train arrived and I found my cabin. There were 2 portly Hungarian girls already in there, watching movies on their laptop, and they seemed very friendly and easygoing. I mingled a little to be friendly, but really just wanted to sleep. Then arrived disaster. These 2 Roma girls literally fell into our cabin, laughing their heads off, and blasting dance music on their Nokias. They were blasting 2 different songs on 2 different Nokias. Now, I ride the subway every day in Boston, so I'm used to pricks who don't know how to use headphones, so I didn't think too much of it, and they didn't speak a lick of English, but I guess really took a liking to me since every time I closed my eyes, I would get poked in the side of the head and giggled at like I was an animal. They really wanted to talk to me through the other Hungarian girls, asking if I had a girlfriend, where I was from, occasionally breaking out a few lines of broken English themselves, like handsome boy, while petting my head. I believe in personal space, but also know trying to argue with them would probably be futile. After a while, I fell into one of my books, realizing I would soon get no sleep. I didn't know at what point this happened, but somebody broke out a P word and put it on the Hungarian girl's laptop. I would get poked, shown the P word, and laughed at. Now, I'm no slouch. When it comes to getting nasty, I get nasty. But this was not the time for this. I was not attracted to these girls. They smelled like a hockey player's foot, and I was going on 24 hours with no sleep. Plus, I had left my girlfriend in Pécs and was/still am in love. I wasn't going to screw around. Finally, one of them puts in her hands on my junk, bites my ear, and asks me, "You want to S me?" To which I reply, "Nem," taking her hand out of my lap. Then I got a barrage of Segfej from the 2 Roma. Look it up. I spent the next... Hold on, we're just going to look up what that means. It means, like, asshole. Okay. I like how he's confident saying all this other stuff, but not asshole. Look it up. I spent the next 6 hours with these girls blasting music, poking me, berating me, and holding in a pee for the fear of them rifling through my stuff. I guess I'm kind of a pushover in these situations. I didn't want to overreact or lose my cool. I just wanted the train ride to end without getting stabbed or R-worded by two girls. I guess karma shifted my way in the long run. When we hit the Switzerland border, the girls were detained by Border Patrol, probably for being Roma. That sucks and everything, but I know that the Roma people have a bad rap in Europe, but I hated these girls at this point. I hated them so hard. I got a good 1 hour of drifting in and out of naps, but still felt like crap when we pulled into the Zurich train station. More good news when I arrived to Zurich airport. I found out they overbooked the flight and I had been bumped up to first class. I went from sharing a cramped corridor with two Roma snookies to having a chair that turned into a bed, unlimited wine, and a 4-course meal. I'm sure somebody has had it worse. I just wanted to share my experience. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, barely speaking the language, probably. I don't actually know your situation, but these girls just like trying to push themselves on you is kind of crazy. Yikes. Alright, here's a really short one from Tcox72. My wife and I were taking a car ride from Delhi to Agra, and along the way, on a fairly bare stretch of highway, a crazy guy jumped out in front of us with a pair of scissors and held up to another guy's neck, trying to get us to stop or else he would kill the guy. When he realized we weren't stopping, he threw the man in front of our car and started slashing at the car. We barely dodged the guy thrown in front of the car and made it out safe. We had no idea what was going on, and it freaked us out quite a bit. OP, the original, the one we just read, said, "Dang, for some reason I can't help picturing them as Hindu George and Lenny. Okay, I'll pretend to cut you with scissors to make them stop. If that doesn't work, I'll throw you in front of the car, and then they'll have to stop." Okay, George. If you don't know, that's like a Mice and Men reference. Alright. Next one I don't know how to comment on these, actually. Maybe I'm not very good at this. Like, I'm just kind of reading them and, like, trying to process it, because it's crazy. Because in all my traveling, like, I've never had this happen to where I'm, like, scared for my life, I guess. Which is the whole point of this thread, so I don't know. But, yeah, I think this is kind of just like another like trying to get money from you scheme, kind of like the vibe of the guys selling mixtapes in Times Square, to where they were just like, if we hold up this guy, we can maybe like steal his car and make it money off of him or something. Like, it just seems like it's just a ploy, obviously, to just like get a reaction or just to like profit off of it. I don't know what else to say. And the next thing we got is by Jim Eck, and it says, "In the Greek islands, our taxi driver accused us of putting a dent in the side of his cab. After we gave the roof a tap to let him know we were all out of the car, next thing I know, he has my friend by the throat. All of the island locals came running out and pin us against the wall until the cops rock up. 2 guys in no uniform, and chuck both of my friends in the car without asking any questions. I run to the police station, in a little dingy shack with no sign or anything, to find out that both of my mates attempted to run away because they didn't believe these men were police. They asked for ID, but were told to be quiet. They caught one of them and the other got away. As a result, the one who got caught was beaten up and chucked in a cell. Cue me. I rock up to the station to find none of these cops can barely speak English. The taxi driver is there going crazy, talking in Greek to these cops and pointing at me, then his car. I know what he is telling them, and I try to act out what happened by pointing to the dent in the back, shaking my head, then miming tapping on the roof. They grab me and take me off the premise. As I wait out on the road, a friend of the taxi driver tries to fight me. I hold him away and say, "No." One of the cops comes out to the front and sees us, and thankfully this guy backs off. Eventually, they got this young cop the only one who could speak English, to tell me that he won't talk to me unless I bring my other mate back to the police station. This guy was reasonable. I later found out that he was the one who stopped the other cops from beating my friend in the cell to a pulp. He told me as soon as I bring the other guy back, we can sort all this out. I run back to the hotel, grab my friend, thankfully he was there, and we head back. Anyway, long story short, they were saying we could either pay the taxi driver 200 euros or my friends would get taken to another island and put on trial. It was complete bullshit, I knew it, but we had to leave at 11 a.m. the next day and it was already 4 a.m. I had enough. I just agreed to pay the money to the crooked son of a bee. Really bad way to end what was such a great trip to Europe, but all was well in the end. We split the fine and got my friends out slightly in one piece. I bet the cops and the taxi driver split the cash too. Yeah, that one, like I said the earlier one, it's kind of just the vibes of those guys that sell mixtapes in like Times Square, or like those like character people in Las Vegas. It's just a money plot. Like, yeah, it sucks that these are dirty cops and that you got a sucky taxi driver, but like, number one, the guys probably shouldn't have ran or tried to run. Shouldn't have ran? Yeah. Or tried to run. And like, the whole situation shouldn't have happened at all, obviously. But it's like, this could have gone a lot worse. Your friends could have gotten a lot more beat up, and like, you could have been a lot more than 200 euro, which, it's like, I'd say it's enough to pay for your friends. You know what I mean? Yes, so they're defaulting is some form of karma. Alright, I want to find a shorter-ish one. Alright, this one comes from a Reddit user called Monterreo. It says, took the last train from Vienna to Bratislava in the middle of the night in order to get to the airport early in the morning. I was the only one on the train other than the conductor/engineer or whatever. The train slowly came to a halt a little after the Slovakian border in the middle of the countryside on a dark platform. And the dude told me to get out. Confused and scared, I did so, and the train left. I had about 2 minutes of utter panic before another guy came around the corner and directed me to the correct train, which started up just then. I hadn't known I was supposed to transfer. I arrived in Bratislava at about 1:30 a.m. I disembarked and made my way through the tunnel under the tracks to come up inside the train station. The entire place was deserted. The lights were off. I could hear dripping water echoing throughout the building. I could see a circular drive outside with a few taxis waiting and a 24-hour snack stand. So I decided to wait outside until the first buses began running and I could catch the correct one to the airport. However, the doors were locked. I couldn't get out. As I was trying all the doors to find an open one, a woman with wild eyes and wild hair appeared outside, began hurling herself bodily at the glass doors, yelling and trying to get inside the station. I skedaddled off to a deserted corner and sat down and cried a little bit because I was tired and scared. I realized that if any other person came into the station from the platforms, I was trapped and had no way to escape. Eventually, I steeled myself and went back out onto the platform. I ended up clambering over train tracks and walking alongside them for a very long time until the fence ended, where I came into a residential neighborhood. Luckily, I came across a policeman who directed me back towards the station. I sat on a bench outside near the snack stand until morning came. There was no sign of the woman with crazy eyes. This comment says, "Are you sure the crazy-eyed woman wasn't you as a reflection trying to get out of the train station?" It's like Shutter Island, where he's he's examining himself, and then the OP of this says, "Oh God." That's really funny to think about. That you, like, especially because this person is a woman, I believe. Just them being like, Clara, let me in, and then being like, who is that person? It's like when, like, cats see themselves in the mirror and they're like, you know what I mean? Or like dogs will like bark at themselves in the mirror. That's what this feels like. Like my brain didn't even go there. That's hilarious though. Like, yeah, if it wasn't you and it was just some creepy lady that you had to like run from, then yeah, this is kind of a creepy story. But the way that this commenter just is like, was it you, is blowing my mind. Like, my brain hurts now. What the heck, dude? That's crazy. Alright, I got another one here from comma 20. Having not gotten paid for a cash-in-hand job for a month's work prior to going on a trip, I departed the prepaid part of my trip, snowboarding in Slovakia, hung out for a day, swung into Prague, and spent New Year's there, and went to Austria. Now I'm low on money, probably $300 in total, and my flight back is a month and a half away, as I'm owed about $4,000 cash. I spend about $200 on a train ticket, including the overnighter through Switzerland, to a town where a friend would pick me up and take me to the French Alps for more snowboarding. I have no mobile as there has been a F-up with various things along the way. Anyhow, I get off the train and wait for my friend, and wait, and wait. I decide to grab a coffee, but can't pay as my euro isn't worth anything here, because apparently this little Swiss town has the same name as the French town I'm supposed to get off at. Oh no. Barely able to speak French, let alone Swiss French. I talk to a little old lady at the ticket booth and spend the rest of my money on tickets to the proper town. Then, when in Geneva, I get detained going through some customs as I have a massive snowboard bag. I miss my bus, but eventually rebook everything for free and get the last bus on over. After a long 24 hours of travel and adventure, I make it and my friends pick me up. Once again, karma shift. My friends who were working as chalet hosts had a cancellation, so we stayed in a baller chalet for a month. One of the friends broke her wrist, so I used her season pass. I eventually got paid and had a great time. Flight home was crazy though. Alrighty. That one's pretty funny. Like, to think that there's towns in Switzerland and France that have the same name, and you got like effed a little bit, is really funny. One of the countries that I've been to is France, and I actually speak French, so I think it would be interesting for me to, like, because I know I am biliterate in French, so I think it would be really funny to see what the differences are in like Swiss, oh my god, in Swiss French versus like French, you know what I mean? Because I met some people when I worked at Target, and they were from I think it was either Kenya or Senegal, and we were able to have a conversation in French, and it was like I could understand him fully, and it was all like fine. But I'm always interested in seeing like different dialects and stuff, so I think it would be fun. I also we went to Monaco and spoke French in Monaco, and like that was the same too. I mean, I guess Monaco is like basically part of France, but you know. Alright, here's one that's a little shorter. It doesn't have, like, the Redditor deleted their account, but their comment is still here. So it says, I was 18 and it was my first time traveling alone. I went to Argentina for 3 months, and my first weekend, I'm wandering around Buenos Aires, and at the time, I had enough Spanish to get by. A man approaches me and asks for directions in Spanish. I tell him that I'm not from here, and then he asks me if I'm a tourist. I say yes, and he seems delighted, quickly telling me that he is too. He offers up the idea to explore the city together. I, alone in the big city, agree. We started walking together, and he seems like a really nice guy. After about an hour, he says, "Tengo hambre," meaning I'm hungry. I hadn't eaten since breakfast, and it was around 1, so we went to a nice restaurant. He tells me I have to try the steaks and the red wine. I'm not much of a wine fan, but he convinced me. We are there about an hour, and the bill comes. It's 140 pesos. He pulls out 100 pesos. I try to pay for my half, but he only lets me pay 40 pesos. He tells me I can get the beers later. We continue on our little adventure and eventually come to a bar with outdoor seating. The waitress brings out a liter of beer and we relax. Soon enough, another liter comes out. We finish the second liter and leave this bar. I then wake up 8 hours later, missing my debit card, iPod, cell phone, and travel guide. Oh no, this is TLDR. I got drugged my first week traveling alone. Oh, brother, that sucks. Also, your debit card, having to ship, that seems like a nightmare, having to get your debit card shipped to a different country. Your bank already is like, this guy's effed. Oh, it seems like there was... That's really funny. Yeah, yeah, I would, unless, you're, you have your own cup. How did he poison, or not poison, but, drug the entire liter of beer? I guess you pour it out, and I don't know how beer works. I'm 17. I don't know how beer works in different countries. I don't know, man. Let's move on. Ooh, this one says it's in French exchange family. Oh, okay. At 15 years old, on a French exchange, my host family decided that they didn't like me and I had to move to a new family. Their etiquette for approaching this situation involved writing me a letter in French, reading, "One in France does not," followed by a list of strange accusations. Oh, what? Not showering enough, not washing my clothes enough. Sorry, Australians don't wash their clothes until they're actually dirty. Stealing their food, ? Being too friendly with boys at school. I was totally a year older than those losers, no thanks. And going through their personal files on their computer. I'm in IT and I fixed their lag box with the father's permission. Ingrates. And what would a 15-year-old have been looking for? Their tax files? The best part is that this happened on Christmas Eve while the exchange program offices were closed, so I got to spend an awkward Christmas with their extended family before I could get help after Boxing Day. Also, in a small town with no other exchange students, totally alone. The exchange program investigated, deciding that I was innocent and the host mother/sister were bat crap crazy. So instead of being sent home for misconduct, I got to move to a new family in Paris, so the remaining 3 weeks were awesome. The comments say, dang, the Christmas part is brutal. This actually happened to one of my friends who's an exchange student. He was German, and this host family, took him on totally amazing, really cool trips. They went on a cruise, the dad was a pilot, they went to Alaska, but I think, it was around Christmas, or maybe January, February, where they just started accusing him of kind of the same things, where he was stealing their food, eating too much food. I think it was they started calling him fat and stuff, which is crazy. Because he's super skinny and he's tall and skinny, so I don't know, that was crazy. So he had to find a new host family, but for a while he wasn't able to find one, so he thought he was going home, and it was actually a really sad thought. But luckily he got a host family again, and it was all chill. But for a while they were that family was crazy. He was just stuck with them. It would have been so rough. Whoa, this one says it's in North Korea. Alright, hold on. Don't at me if I say these wrong, because they're there's 2 Korean names. So train from Sinuiju to Pyongyang in North Korea. It was supposed to take 6 hours and ended up taking 13. Unheated train, so it was about negative 15 degrees in the cabin. I kept falling asleep only to wake up because my feet were in agony from the cold. Train carriage was full of KPA soldiers who dealt with the situation by playing revolutionary music on their mobile phones and getting drunk, which was nerve-wracking as some of them were armed. Also accidentally ashed a cigarette on the uniform of someone who looked fairly senior too. Awkward. Someone asked, "What were you doing there?" He says, went as a tourist about 7 weeks ago. Someone else says, "This actually sounds awesome." And then that OP responded, "It was one of those things where it's hell at the time, but you know it'll be a great story as soon as it's over. I did a 36-hour non-stop off-road journey across Mongolia and the sleep deprivation was awful, but it's a great experience in hindsight." Then another commenter says, "How do you come to be in the People's Republic of North Korea or something?" I don't remember what this says DPRK, and I know it's like, it's Democratic People's Republic of Korea, I think. Don't at me on that. I'll put up what it actually means. It says, "I was there arranging transportation of nuclear material." I was visiting as a tourist. Alrighty, let's find another one. I'm trying to find ones that aren't terribly long, because I get bored. This one says, "I was robbed under the Eiffel Tower when I was 5. A kid asked me for some money and I gave it to him. Then his whole family rushed me and my mom came chasing to rescue me. Not quite a horror story, but I don't like Paris now." Well, that's crazy. Yeah, the whole time we were in Paris, my French teacher was like, "Don't talk to anyone, don't sign any petitions, keep your hand on your bag at all times." And one of the kids that came on the trip with us literally was talking to one of the petitioners at one point. We were like, "Miles, what are you doing?" Didn't listen at all. And it was the kid I was sharing a room with. It was really funny. So I reckon we can read one more and then we'll get out of here. We'll move on, and then I'll get to post this. Okay, this one is in Italy, so it's a tad long, but I feel like it's a good last one. The Redditor deleted their account again, but their comment's still here, so I'm gonna read it. "I was trying to hitchhike from Corrado, Italy to Pescara. It was a miserable day. I had started my trip in Dublin and had been on the road for about a month now. The sun was blazing and there were hardly any cars passing, and I was beginning to strongly dislike Italians. At least I got an early start. At about 5 hours in, finally someone stops. They actually turn around to see where I was headed. This car should have raised a red flag in my mind, but after 5 hours in the sun, I was delirious. The driver of the car was an older Italian man, probably in his 50s, a smiling, quirky, amiable little man. I might make it out of Italy after all. So I got in and he asked where I'm headed. This conversation is in broken English on his part and broken Italian on mine. But we seem to understand each other. I say Foggia, or farther north, and he says he lives in Foggia, but he can take me all the way to Pescara. This is weird. People have been overly generous to me on this trip, but something about this guy doesn't feel right. Then he starts with the questions. Are you Catholic? He had a rosary hanging from the mirror. Are you married? Have a girlfriend? Are they waiting for you? Oh God, I saw he had a wedding ring, but he started to take it off. He tried to explain that his wife and he had separated. You like men? Are you gay? You like to suck? Oh, F. I play it off like a joke and get out of this car, is what I was thinking. But he is making S gestures, eating it out like stroking it like a big, etc. He turns off the main road and heads for the coast. He insists on buying me lunch. No, that's really too kind of you. I'm stuffed, really. And we are still on the road speeding to Manfredonia. Adrenaline, terror, and disbelief were flooding my mind. He begins trying to get affectionate. He compliments my eyes, my skin, to occhi bello bello. He angles the mirror so he can stare at me while he drives. He tries to grab my leg. No te care, I say forcefully, and thank God for my Spanish lessons in high school. He persists. We stop at an old rural house in Manfredonia. This is not a restaurant. He now informs me that this is in fact his house. We are only stopping because he forgot something. I reassess my camping supplies in my pack. This is not where I want to be, and I don't have much water, and this town is a long way away, and I'm not sure in what direction. He insists I come inside, and I insist there is no way in F I would follow him into that house. After 10 minutes of waiting, while I assume he is searching for the perfect tool to strangle me with, he comes out with a suitcase and tosses it in the back, and we are on our way. The touching, sweet talking, licking of the lips continues. As soon as the city is in sight, and I have made it clear I'm not going to polish his pole, he kindly kicks me out. In a bizarre gesture, he also gives me his business card in case I change my mind. TLDR, I almost got R-worded. Why are all of these just creepy people being like, want to like, they're just all so creepy. Yeah. Alright, so I've never had any experiences like this, but I hope that my insight was at least a little bit funny to you guys. So let me know if you kind of like this content, and I will for sure do it again in the future. It was pretty fun to read them. I don't know if I'm really good at doing the reaction part like I thought I would be. I'm no Cody Co, sorry. Sorry I'm not Curtis Connor. But yeah, the Florida vlog will be coming out soon. If you're watching this in the future, go ahead and check out for that. And yeah, it was really fun seeing you guys. Please like and subscribe if you want to see content like this again, or you like travel stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!